Hi everybody, I'm here to talk to you about the PE license and the power of the PE license. I've been a registered professional engineer since 1990. I graduated undergrad '85. I graduated with my master's degree in 1990. I quickly learned when I went out into industry that there's graduate engineers and there's professional engineers. You, congratulations, hopefully, are all soon going to be graduate engineers, and that's a major accomplishment in your life. It's important to recognize, though, as a graduate engineer, you are not an engineer. You are not allowed in most states to have the word engineer on your business card. Just like if you graduated from a medical practice or medical school, you are not a doctor. Or if you graduate from law school, you're not a lawyer. If you graduate from Iowa State in accounting, you are not an accountant. You are graduated in that field, but you are not licensed to practice in that field. As a result, there's a lot that you can do. I don't want to make you feel bad. You certainly can work for another company under their engineers, providing engineering guidance to those engineers to get things done. But you yourself, for the government, for the general public, or for any industry that serves the government or the general public, you're not allowed to sign a set of prints or plans. You're not allowed to design things and have those produced into the field. It is illegal. And in many states, it's illegal to even have the word engineer after your name. It's very important to recognize this. It's very important to strongly consider licensure. So why do you do it? Well, about 20% of engineers are licensed. And as you can guess, certain professions are stronger than others. It is true that the industrial engineering profession is one that doesn't have a lot of licensed professional engineers. It is true that people will say, oh, it's not required, it's not needed. I think it's important to recognize why we have licensure. Why do we license accountants to be CPAs to do our taxes and accounting for companies? Why do we license people with law degrees to be lawyers? Why do we license doctors to be medical doctors to provide services on us? Licensure is important. Licensure ensures that the people providing those services know what they're doing. And if they don't, if their peers think that their work is substandard, or that their ethics are substandard or questionable, that license will be pulled, and they will not be able to practice in that field. That gives us all comfort that the products that we use and the bridges that we drive on and the buildings that we work in are safe, because the people who have the right, the authority to create them are licensed, and that their work is constantly being reviewed, and that they have to retain continuing education units. They have to continue their education for the rest of their life, the rest of their professional life, because that's required as part of licensure. In many states, you can't have engineer after your name, as I mentioned. Texas is one of those. Iowa's not as strong. But why else might you want to do this? Well, PEs get a higher salary. You're taking on the responsibility by being licensed, that you have those rights. You can sign those prints. You can work for the government. That provides more value to your employer. You can defend someone in a court of law, which you cannot do by representing yourself as an engineer if you're not legally, in the eyes of our government, an engineer. And you're not, unless you have a professional engineering license. It gives you the right to sign and seal plans and drawings, to certify designs, everything from boats and airplanes and cars to toasters and pizza ovens. So let me give you another story. You know, our industrial engineering field, sometimes we're called imaginary engineers. I heard the other day, it was a couple years ago, some mechanical engineering people here at Iowa State during orientation were telling a bunch of students not to go into industrial engineering because you can't get a PE license in industrial engineering. So it's not a real engineering field. Now obviously that's not true. I mean, licensed professional engineer, industrial engineering. That person didn't know what they were talking about. But what the person did say was important. If you can't be licensed in the field, you're not a real engineer. If we as industrial engineers want to take responsibility for the credibility of our profession, we need to actually go one step higher than everyone else to prove our worth. And being licensed is a great way to do that. It increases the value of our profession and the importance of our profession in the eyes of those people who may question industrial engineers. You know, one of the things that the PE license is after, in fact, the National Society of Professional Engineers, which is advocating on behalf of all engineers, but obviously real engineers, professional engineers, is trying to make sure that people don't represent themselves as engineers who don't have qualifications to be engineers. You may have a lot of friends who are industrial technologists. We have a great industrial technology program here at Iowa State. You may also be aware that they're competing for your jobs in industrial engineering, and being called industrial engineers in the field, yet they didn't go through the same rigor that you did. Well, those people can't be licensed professional engineers. It specifically states in the Code of Law that you have to graduate from an engineering program and that technology programs do not count. Now, why is that important? It's very important for the people who represent themselves as industrial engineers, obviously, to be industrial engineers, to ensure that the quality of the work that people perform is up to par. Because if it isn't, people are going to question the value of us as industrial engineers. Are we worth the extra money? Are we worth as much as a mechanical engineer or an electrical engineer? We are responsible for ensuring that the quality of the people in our field are maintained, and so that they're representing people who actually have those skills. In other words, you can't be a shop floor supervisor and be called an industrial engineer. It means you can't be an industrial technology major, graduate, and be called an industrial engineer. The best way to do that, become licensed and ensure that your company, your organization knows the difference. When I go out in the field, I'm doing factory design projects, as you know, very often. Who am I working with? I'm working with construction engineers. I'm working with architects. I'm working with mechanical engineers and electrical engineers. I'm constantly in a room with these people. We're designing plans, we're creating prints. I want you to imagine this. I was in a room just the other day working on a project for Food Bank of Iowa, a new warehouse design. My job, of course, was material flow, logistics, rack design, aisles, ergonomics, all the things that we think of that industrial engineers do. The mechanical engineer was a registered professional engineer. The electrical engineer, registered professional engineer. Construction engineer, registered professional engineer. The architect, a licensed architect. Imagine my credibility in that room of engineers if I wasn't licensed. It would just feed the entire persona of the imaginary engineer, wouldn't it? So it's very, very important to recognize that when you're in a room with licensed professional engineers, you're not an engineer unless you're a licensed professional engineer. So it's something to give some very serious thought to. It is important for our profession. It does help us keep our salaries where they need to be. It does help us earn the respect that we deserve out in the field. But we are personally responsible for that. And we maintain that. And we have our association, the National Society of Professional Engineers, who works on our behalf to ensure that the government is providing the appropriate rules to give us the credibility and the authority, but also the responsibility that we deserve. Let's take a look about what it takes to become a licensed engineer. First of all, you have to pass the Fundamentals of Engineering exam. To do that, you go to the ncees.org website, and that is actually where all the licensing is done. The state of Iowa has basically delegated the FEE, Fundamentals of Engineering exam, to the NCEES organization to administer. So you're going to apply for your fundamentals exam with them, and then you'll take your exam. You'll notice that every state has different rules and laws and different timelines on things. You can go to the state of Iowa and find out our licensing bureau here, and I'll go to the state of Iowa website in just a moment. When you take your exam, you're going to do the Fundamentals of Engineering exam first. Of course, you have to apply for that, and you have to have some character references, and you have to prove your transcripts as graduated as an industrial engineer from Iowa State University. Your exam has a set of questions, some general questions, and also some specific questions. One of the things about the exam is you definitely want to take the Industrial and Systems Engineering exam, and we can see here the type of disciplines. So you got 6 to 9 questions in math. You're going to have 4 to 6 questions in engineering science, 4 to 6 in ethics, engineering economy, probability and statistics, modeling, simulation modeling, quantitative analysis, engineering management, manufacturing, facilities design, human factors, work measurement, quality planning, and systems engineering. These are fields that you've had. I've tried to fill in the gaps on a few things that I know you were weak in. But the bottom line is you need to go out, you need to buy the study guides, and you need to plan to really study hard for this exam. It's a very difficult, very grueling exam. It takes an entire day to do. I would expect to spend 50 hours to 100 hours studying for this. Buy the videos, buy the books, go through the YouTube stuff, do everything you can to do a good job passing this exam. Once you've passed this exam, you can then go to the State of Iowa Licensing Board, and with your exam results, you can submit your background information and your character witnesses to apply to be an engineer in training. That gives you what's called an EIT license to practice as an engineer in training for 4 or more years, during which you have to work under other engineers. If we look at this document here, which is the one I pulled up on Engineering Licensor, you can see that you first have to graduate an engineering program of 4 or more, and that you can't be a technology program. It has to be an engineering program. For example, an engineering technology curriculum does not constitute an engineering program of 4 years or more. So you must graduate as you have, so good job, congratulations. You must take the FE exam and pass it. Okay? Then you must apply for your EIT, your engineering in training license. And then you will have to go through some oversight. And it talks about all the references you need to do and this work experience you need. But bottom line is, you need to work for 4 years in the field, during which you're working, at least on some of your projects, under licensed registered professional engineers. I'm happy to be one of your character references as a licensed engineer for the work that you have done for this course. Then you need to, but other engineers can help. They just can't be entirely. You need to work for at least one licensed professional engineers on a substantive project that they can vouch for you on. It's very important. So you go through that process, then you have to document all this work. So what did you do for your projects? You've got to cover all of that. Then you apply to the board with all of your documented work experience, with your character reference information, both licensed professional engineers as well as perhaps some non-licensed professional engineers. And they will decide whether you can take, the board, whether you can sit for the professional engineering license. That license you'll take, it's about your field, so you'll take it also in the field of industrial engineering. It's another grueling exam that you're going to have to prepare for. And once you pass the PE exam, then you are a licensed registered professional engineer. In order to retain that exam, you must take a certain number of continuing education credits. Most states it's 15 to 30 hours of continuing education work, PDHs, professional development hours, in a 24-month period, and submit those to the state along with a fee to retain your PE license. So once again, the PE license is about validation, but it's also something that you have to maintain. It's not given and something you can just not maintain. And it can be taken away from you if you are not working under the code of ethics and the responsibility that you need to carry this forward. If you have further questions, please let me know. I just want to really strongly recommend that the PE license is something you should seriously consider. And let me say that taking the FE exam now is going to be a heck of a lot easier than taking it later if you decide that you really want to be a licensed professional engineer. Good luck.